All right, guys. So, Democrat slash progressive Sheldon Whitehouse has been caught with his pants down once again. Okay, because he's been asked about this issue before and he just seems to not be doing anything about it, or he just seems not to care. I don't know. Because allegedly he is a part of a all-white private beach club. Okay, it's an all-white wealthy exclusive club. Okay, it's just for white people only. Okay, and in this day and time in 2021, especially when you call yourself a so-called progressive, when you're supposed to be championing so-called civil rights, okay, there's literally no excuse for you to be a part of a club like this. Okay, there's literally no excuse. You can't be caught being a part of a club like this. Okay, and you would think these politicians would be smarter than this, but apparently they're not. As again, this man has been a part of this club literally for decades, and he was asked about his membership again over the last few days, and this is what he had to say.
Okay, back in 2017, you had expressed concerns about the membership of the all-white Bailey's Beach Club, said that you hoped it would become more diverse. Now, your family's been members, your wife is one of the largest shareholders. Has there been any traction in that? Are there any minority members of the club now?
I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet.
Do you have concerns in 2021? I mean, obviously it's been 4 years. You had remarks on the floor following the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd saying, hoping to root out systemic racism in the country. Your thoughts on an elite, all-white, wealthy club, again, in this day and age? Should these clubs continue to exist?
It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them. I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you.
The car's here. You have to continue.
This man said it's a long-standing tradition, right? That they got to work through, okay? As if the club just can't lift the policy and say, you know what? Any black person can join, just like any exclusive club, like a city club or whatever. You have to have a certain amount of money. Okay, you got it like that. That exists, right? In all cities, right? You got the city clubs where you can pay a certain amount of money and you can be a part of it, right? I think that's literally how you solve the problem. But for that reason, that's kind of not what they're saying, okay? Which is hilarious to me because this right here should be such a non-issue. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I got some interesting opinions on this, because I think my main issue is not the fact that he's a part of an all-white club. Really, to be quite honest with you, that's not really my issue. The issue is that he's doing this while at the same time trying to quote-unquote champion racial justice. And I think this really gives me an opportunity to talk about a story that I have in regards to kind of how these northern Democrats slash progressives actually think about black people in these so-called progressive issues, right? They act like they want it, but they just want it to be away from them. They don't actually want to be with the people that they claim they are fighting for so much. Despite the diversity and inclusion message, they don't really want that. So let's read here. Democrat US Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has apologized for but has not left an elite private beach club that refuses to accept anyone who is not white. Go Local Province, a local publication in Providence, Rhode Island, confronted Mr. Whitehouse in 2017 about his membership at Bailey's Beach Club in Newport, which does not allow minorities into its ranks and is considered to be one of the most exclusive clubs in the U.S. Quote, I think it would be nice if they change a little bit, but it's not my position, Mr. Whitehouse told the outlet at the time. The publication approached him again this year, asking if the club has made any progress on its regressive acceptance policies since that interview. Quote, I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet, Mr. Whitehouse said. Again, I don't understand this at all, right? Like, all you have to do is just be like, okay, colors are allowed. That's all you have to say. I don't understand. And, it's funny because he keeps saying that he doesn't have the power. He's acting like, well, I can't do nothing about it. Dude is the third largest shareholder of the club. He definitely has the power to change the policy, but he just won't, right? He's just not going to, because he doesn't have to. It's not like the Democrats going to call him out about it. They haven't for basically a decade now. So, hey, why would you change a policy when it doesn't really matter, right? Nobody's going to do anything. Membership to a white-only elite social club would generate criticism for any politician, but Mr. Whitehouse's position not only as a Democrat, but as one who claims to champion progressive issues makes his patronage of the club even more infuriating for his critics. Both Mr. Whitehouse and his wife Sandra have been members at the club for decades. The exclusive organization includes many prominent and wealthy individuals from Newport, Palm Beach, and New York. When Mr. Whitehouse was confronted by the issue the day before Juneteenth, which was made a federal holiday this year, he said the club still needed to work through its acceptance issues and justify his inclusion in the group by saying it's a tradition. Oh my God, man, these people are so silly. It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them, and I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you, Mr. Whitehouse said. Mr. Whitehouse is reportedly at the facility during most days in the summer. Despite his inclusion in the club, Mr. Whitehouse has spoken out about systemic racism in the U.S. following the deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. The senator issued a statement of solidarity with the racial justice movement. Quote, "We hear the voices of the peaceful protesters who have marched. We can and must do better to root out systemic racism in many forms," he said. I mean, again, the exclusivity of a private club, would that not be a wealthy club that black people can't join, right? They can't get access to that network. Would that not be a form of the so-called systemic racism that you claim you're fighting against? Again, the Democrats are just so full of it, man. The apparent contradiction between the senator's words and actions have earned him criticism from local progressive leaders. In a 2017 Go Local editorial, labor leader and activist Mike Aranjo condemned the senator for his membership at the exclusionary club. Quote, "I find Senator Whitehouse's position on his membership of the historically restricted Bailey's Beach Club deeply disappointing, yet not surprising," he said. "Racism is the air we breathe in this country. There is no place, absolutely no place that can be named that is not the site of a forcible removal or slaughter of indigenous people or the trade, whipping, and forced labor of black people." All right, so okay, this is the same guy, like a lot of progressive who claim to be fighting so-called systemic racism. They claim to be on the side of black people and yada yada yada. Okay, and guys, again, this is par for the course with rich northern Democrats. Okay, because a guy from Boston, I was talking to him a couple weeks when I was vacationing in Charleston. I was at a wedding, and you know, he was telling me about politics in Boston politics, how in the rich affluent neighborhoods of Boston there will be BLM signs outside of their houses. Okay, they will support pride, they'll support all the stuff, all the progressive causes, they support it, and they also say they'll support things like affordable housing. Okay, things like that. Okay, you know, policies that make it easier for minorities to essentially move in their neighborhoods. They'll say that. They'll say they support that. But on these same signs that they say they support affordable housing, they'll also say that they're against the actual name of the bill, like the technical name of the bill. You know how they name certain bills, like in the House, like HR, 1 or whatever, right? Like a name that you can't immediately recognize what the bill is actually for, right? They'll say they're against the actual legislation that would allow for affordable housing, right? Which basically would, again, lead to more minorities being able to move in their neighborhoods, right? That same stuff that they want to push on everybody else, they don't want for themselves, because they don't want to live next to black people. They don't want to live next to the so-called minorities that they're fighting for. They don't want to do that. Ain't that funny how it works? And I mean, and political candidates in Boston campaign the exact same way, where they'll say they're for something in the name, okay, to where the layman can understand, but then they will straight up vote against or be against the actual legislation. That's how sneaky these Democrats are. And that's why I said I'm not surprised to see this at all. This is how Northern Democrats operate. They really don't F with black people like that, right? They just don't. They champion progressive causes, but no. You only can do that over there with you guys when you all live together in the city. Don't come in my suburb with all this, right? We'll support BLM. We'll send our money to you guys. You guys go wreck and tear up your own neighborhoods. We will support you all the way because we want to fight for racial justice, but y'all can't live with us, right? Y'all can't live in our neighborhoods. Your kids can't attend our schools. And we damn sure don't want you joining our exclusive, wealthy, all-white clubs. We really don't want that. You can't be around us. We don't want to support anything that makes it easier for you guys to, again, be close to us. That's literally how it is, okay, up north, right? And guys, think about how this dude has just refused to leave the club, because all he has to do is just leave the club, right? That's all he has to do is just be like, I'm just not a member of this club anymore. But he won't do it. And think about how he's been in Congress, I think, since what? 2007. Okay, so he's been in Congress for like 13 years, more than a decade. And you think his constituents, the people that are voting for him, don't know that? Of course they know that. Do you think they care? No, because they agree with him. That's why. But these are the same people that'll say, oh no, we'll champion black causes, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ+. They'll say all that stuff. Diversity and inclusion. Except, just not with us. Y'all can be diverse and inclusive with each other. The left is a farce, man. It really is. This guy's from the north. He claims to champion so-called progressive causes, talk about systemic racism, social justice, but at the same time, he's a part of an all-white exclusive club. And again, guys, my beef is not with him being a part of an all-white club. It's not that. It's the hypocrisy of it. And the reason why is because they're all black clubs, right? They're all black things. And if, this was a congressman or somebody that was a part of an all-black club, nobody would be saying anything. Like the Congressional Black Caucus. Everybody just accepts that only black people can be a part of that, right? Even if you're white and your constituency is mainly black people, you still can't be a part of it, okay? So that's why I'm like, you know what? If you can have special groups only for certain people, then you have to make that for everybody, including white folks, okay? You can't have both. You can't just say, well, minorities can get their own special thing, but white people, they can't. No, you can't have it that way. You can't have it that way. So that's what I'm saying. Like, my beef is more about hypocrisy. That's what it's about. Because this is the same guy that'll call Trump a racist, right? That'll call Republicans racist. And guys, again, speaking of Republicans, again, it goes without saying, could you imagine if this was a Republican that was a part of an all-white exclusive elite club like this? The media would be going crazy. They would be, oh, this is an example of racism from the Republicans. You see, it's the good old boys club, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. You would never hear the end of it. But since it's a northern wealthy Democrat, they're going to sweep this under the rug. They're going to sweep it under the rug. You'll never hear about it. You'll never hear about it. But again, these are the same people that claim to be fighting against so-called systemic racism. They want to talk about racism all day. But really, the reality is that these progressive Democrats, they talk that big game. But at the same time, they will not support policies that will allow minorities to actually live with them or to be a part of their communities or to be a part of their club. They'll let minorities tear up their own communities, and they'll support policies that will destroy those communities in the name of social justice. But they won't let them join their club or be a part of their group. That's how it is. So that's why I said I am not surprised at all to see something like this. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.